Hey, Ben, welcome to the wind tunnel. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. About yourself?
I'm doing well. Listen, I want to know uh, you won the state championship 1 year ago for the Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Series, but you were forced to do it with a limited amount of races. How intense was that for you?
Made it obviously a lot different than the years before. Every race counted a lot. There wasn't you didn't really have a buffer race in there that, if you just so happen to have a bad week, that just was not acceptable this year. So we were fortunate enough not to have any bad luck or getting any messes that year. So there was definitely a different feel about it.
Every driver I've talked to have related a specific story about and I hate to use the word, but it is true, the challenge of the pandemic and COVID 19 and a schedule that fluctuated or was reduced. How did you deal with it?
Man, last year there was a lot of life changes on top of just, the racing schedule changes. I did get laid off from my job and, there for a while, it's like, hey, how are we supposed to make everything float here, while, racing and that sort of thing. So, there was a lot, probably more personal stuff than the racing schedule. Obviously, that was delayed for us by over a month. I think we're still able to get, in the mid 20s for shows in. So, it was, there was always an unknown going into a majority of the weekends, especially depending on what state you're going to be in, for some of the other series and stuff they're racing. Whether it was going to happen or not, whether there was going to be fans, how they were going to, function their programs. So it was kind of don't get too excited for the weekend because the weekend may just get shut down. So that was probably the biggest thing mentally to get through for the during the pandemic stuff.
Are you back to work?
I am back to work. I actually started my own shock rebuilding business. So I was kind of always thinking about doing it, and we had everything lined up, and then it's like, oh, look at this! I have all this free time. So I got lined up with Fox Racing Shocks and was able to talk with Ronnie Crooks, who's over there now, which names known throughout NASCAR and that sort of thing. Learn a few things for them, and then kind of get my business up and running, and at least started to get to the point where hopefully eventually it will be a little bit more than just paying for my hobby. It'll pay for my life as well. So that's the goal anyway, I should say.
Your outlook for 2021, is it brighter than it was in 2020?
I think it is. I think it looks like we should be able to get all of our races in and that sort of thing, be able to do a little bit more traveling like we want to. Hopefully the fuel prices stay somewhat sane, so that's a little bit more feasible. We did stay with the same cars that we had last year just because we didn't have as many nights on them. But I think we should be pretty well prepared and pretty well set for 2021.
Most drivers that compete in a weekly series will tell you that it's a labor of love. It's a collection of people that volunteer their time and then put it all on the line on a Friday night or a Saturday night. How
Mhm.
about you in terms of a labor of love?
Um, it does take a lot of time to be competitive. You have to have the people with you. My dad's business, which is where we keep most of our vehicles and stuff like that, is 2 hours away from here. So I live in Omaha, he lives in Norfolk. So if there's a major issue, then I have to travel. It takes me 2 hours of drive time just to get there to work on the stuff. Then you got 2 hours back. So it there's some long nights, and during the our quote unquote off season, I might only have a month in which I don't go on the weekends and stuff like that. So, it's one of those deals that if you don't love it, you're not going to succeed at it because, you have to be willing to put in the time and actually have, the people around you, like my wife, that's okay with me being gone as often as I am to work on my stuff.
After 4 decades of covering auto racing from the Indianapolis 500 to the Daytona 500, I used to do a little racing, and it was on the dirt. And I always said that pavement is for driving to the racetrack and dirt is to race on. What about you?
I think I have respect for all the different, aspects of stuff. Dirt definitely throws a lot of curveballs at you. I mean, we're getting with the technology and some of the money that's been in the sport, we're getting down to where, a couple tenths of a second is what's separating, pole from 15th. So but you always have the changing track conditions. I mean, we go from, just leave your foot in it and steer to you have to finesse it. Otherwise you're going to kill the tires. So it's definitely a lot different. The only time I've ever driven on pavement, we went to Phoenix for a go-kart race, and we had a day before, and I just went and raced on the road course for a while. So that was about the only pavement experience I've ever had.
What's on your bucket list?
Oh man, I'd like to go to the World 100 sometime, go race at Eldora. That just looks like obviously a huge track, but wouldn't mind racing at Charlotte. Kind of getting down south and racing against some of the competition down there. They have the advantage of being able to race a lot more, and they're so close to, kind of the North Carolina, Charlotte epicenter of, racing and where all the technology is. So that was kind of one of our goals that, when we started the Schaler Racing Shocks, was to pick up the gap in between information that came out of Charlotte, Mooresville area, and get it to the Midwest, so we weren't 4 months behind just to begin with. So it'd be fun. They have different tire rules over there and that sort of thing. So just getting used to all that.
When you look at it, most drivers, when they put the helmet on, they change. And in most cases, all the blood runs out of their head and they become stark, raving, mad lunatics. What about you?
I'm actually, I think, probably one of the calmer ones. I'd like to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I
like to think anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, if there's stuff that I feel that I've been wronged on, while we're racing, then, the driving level gets picked up a little bit. But I'm also, if you ask anyone around, I'm a little bit of a bottom feeder. So you have to be a little bit more patient to run down there and, let the car do what it needs to do and that sort of thing to be competitive. So
we appreciate you visiting with us today, Ben, and good luck with your new business. And here's hoping that you finally, eventually, get down south and get to try your hand as a corn husker against some of them rebels.
Yep. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.